So, once again, it took me a while to get through this arc. It had the same amount of episodes as Stardust Crusaders, but it also took me a while because I'm still not fully. I feel like I don't know. I wasn't ready for the build up. Although this arc is formatted a slightly bit differently um from Stardust Crusaders and even the others slightly. So each arc has its own kind of format and its own thing to get used to. So because of that, it's been taking me a while. So sorry. It's been a couple of months for you guys. If I remember correctly, I released, or at least I'm pretty sure I've already scheduled it, but I have released it. I would be releasing Stardust Crusaders in July at time of recording. So it has technically been a couple of months for you guys. And for me, it took me a while to get through this arc, even though it was the same amount of episodes as Stardust Crusaders. By the way, that said, if you haven't watched any of my other JoJo content, my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure playlist is in the description. So feel free to check those out before continuing with this video. But in the meantime, if you have watched it, let's talk about it. Because I have some interesting thoughts, some good things, I think. I have questions, things, and not bad things. So we're good. Honestly, I am not too sure how to explain. I guess I can explain this by saying that in the very beginning, this arc does not start out with a settled plot. So it starts off with a plot line that eventually kind of gets dropped, but is sort of continued, and then it goes into another plot line. So if I were to, so it kind of starts off this way. Um, Jotaro from Jotaro Kujo from Stardust Crusaders. This takes place a couple of years, I think, after Stardust Crusaders. But basically, he goes on this trip to Morio, Japan, in order to meet Josuke Hitashikata, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. Uh, to meet Josuke, who eventually is his who is basically a family member due to the fact that at the age of 62, Joseph had an affair with a college student. My first thought was, what? Because I thought you were loyal to Susie Q. Susie Q was adorable and she was so cute. Not to mention, you showed undeniable love to her. Like, you, even though I wasn't up for the way that it was, like, there was no romance development in Battle Tendency, how could you cheat on that bubbly lady? She's so nice to everybody. How do you do that? So yeah, he had an affair and he had another son, Josuke, and he went because Jotaro wanted to inform him that he had, due to the fact that he was Joseph's son, he had a share of Joseph's inheritance when he died, because he was looking at like whenever he passed away, because Joseph is still alive in this arc and so on. But basically, he gets a third of it after, or part of the inheritance. I don't know everything about this, how it works. So it kind of starts off like that, and we find out that Josuke is a stand user, and and that there is a serial killer who, I'm pretty sure it's a serial killer who was released and who is also a stand user, and now they work together to find that serial killer. And then after they do that, it kind of devolves into it goes into the fact that there are other stand users, and they're being created by this arrow that that this witch basically was using in Stardust Crusaders. I forgot her name, honestly. Oh, Inyaba. That Inyaba was using in Stardust Crusaders, and I think that's also how she created Dio Stand and all this stuff. But basically, that arrow ended up in someone else's hands, and they're trying to find out who was using the arrow. And so it kind of devolves into that, but it also devolves into a bunch of slice of life episodes until later on in the arc where a plot kind of is developed, and it comes back to that serial killer thing as well, where it turns out there has been a serial killer um, free for 15 years in Morio, killing young girls who have gone missing. And they find this out due to the fact that they meet this manga artist called Rohan. And for the record, Rohan is voiced by no other than Vic Mignogna. I was very happy. I like Vic Mignogna as an actor. His voice acting is amazing. And I first got introduced to this voice actor through Ouran High School Host Club. He voiced this Tamaki. Basically, they end up in this alley and they meet this girl who is a ghost who ends up telling them all about her story and how she got killed by this man. And she talks about that, and then we find out later that she was killed at 4 and that her and Rohan knew each other, and that she saved his life, and that is why his parents moved away from Morio, but he has returned now as a manga artist and everything. So as a mangaka, yeah, basically. So so that's kind of what it devolves, where we have this plot line where the gang of friends is kind of looking for this serial killer, and eventually they find out the identity of that serial killer. But a lot of this arc is kind of like slice of life episodes where a bunch of things are happening that aren't necessarily related to the plot, at least not completely. There's someone, for example, with a stand called Cinderella, who has this beauty clinic thing, and they make people pretty, and so there are a lot of things that are happening that don't really go for a plot. Honestly, I think out of all, this one was fun to watch, but I will say that out of all of them that I've watched so far, this is definitely my least favorite. I did enjoy the antics that these teenagers kind of got up to when it was outside the plot. I do enjoy things that don't follow the plot, so I was okay with this one. But for what I was used to for JoJo, it was kind of strange, I think. It was kind of strange to follow an arc with very little plot. But I did enjoy it in the way that it was set up. It was a very interesting setup with little plots, more slice of life. So I did enjoy seeing that, especially because most of it took place in a small town, close to with high school students, and unlike in Stardust Crusaders, they didn't have to travel to places outside of Japan. We got to see a lot of I think instead of a lot of the group was mainly encompassed teenagers, while in the other arcs there was at least one adult, and technically there was, but most of the series I think followed teenagers than the adults like Jotaro and Joseph and so on. So yeah, I think I kind of like the fact that it was in that area. It reminded me a little of it reminded me a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, because it had that that great group friendship dynamic that we got to see develop, which we can see in the other arcs as well. Don't get me wrong, we can. But because we spent so much time in a high school setting, it was an interesting thing. That said, I will say there is a romance in this arc that it's not believable, especially considering what happened. So Koichi ends up getting together with a girl who kidnapped him and stuff like that. And I don't know what was the point of that. I mean, at least when you're trying to do like a tsundere, at least in the series, oh, what is that called? In the series in the Skullman series, the romance can be noticeable, but I don't like the way this was done. I really don't. It just I it doesn't make the romance makes very little sense. I question the romance, and I also that's like the main thing I question, honestly. And why was it necessary? I was very happy with the ending. One of my favorite parts is the fact that it this arc finally went off brand, and by that I mean that I call it off brand or like or something like that. But basically, there was a thing that JoJo tended to follow, and said thing was that usually the friend, like the best friend, um, or one of the friends was always dies at the end of an arc. Usually, if it's especially the case if this is like the best friend, they always die at the end of the arc. They're always kind of sacrificed or something like that. But thankfully, in this arc, they did not do that. I was kind of happy that they didn't follow this. Another thing that was done that was really interesting was just the ending. In the end, there was no defeat for the villain, which I loved. Instead, the guy dies, dare I say, through poetic justice. He is defeated by the best justice of all, the unexpected poetic one. And I thought that was very, very interesting and extremely poetic and very nice, and a very nice ending overall. So I honestly don't fully know how to review this arc because there was no complete plot to it. It was kind of all over the place. So like if one of the downfalls I think of this JoJo arc is that it was all over the place. Which it broke the format of the other arcs, which I liked. But if you are someone who is someone who is like a plot consumer, like you're more into like plot driven stories, it might be a downfall for you. But I was okay with this arc. It was kind of fun to watch. It was a very interesting setup. One of my favorite parts about this arc is definitely some of the voice actors. Like I said, Vic Mignogna for Rohan. There was also the same guy that voices Naofumi in The Rising of the Shield Hero, voices Josuke. That was great. That was fun. And I'm pretty sure it's the same woman who voices Mine or Princess Bitch in the Shield Hero anime, who also voices the girl who Koichi ended up with. I don't remember her name. So I'm pretty sure that's about it that I have to say. I enjoyed the friendships, but this arc basically gave us everything. I mean, it gave us an affair, it gave us serial killers, it gave us an alien. We got a lot through this arc. It was great. It was great. It was very fun. And it looks like the next arc promises something similar, except in another way, and it takes place in it also, the setting is also very different. So I very much look forward to reviewing Golden Wind. I have already started watching Golden Wind. I am, I think, 6 to 7 episodes in. So here's to hoping that I get done with it sooner. You guys may still have to wait a couple of months, unfortunately, because while I'm watching that arc, I do usually release other videos. But I hope I get through it sooner. And then after that, we go to Stone Ocean. And then I would have reviewed pretty much all the arcs of JoJo currently available on Netflix. And I'm pretty sure currently available, at least up till now, at least on Netflix. So I'm pretty sure Stone Ocean, it was like the last arc right now that was produced. I could check to see if I could find something else, but for now, that's it. So let me know what you think of Diamond is Unbreakable. It was not disappointing. It was actually kind of interesting to watch, but I liked the way that the format was changed, but I wasn't expecting it because JoJo was very plot heavy. It had a pretty good balance of character driven and plot driven stories. And this one was more, I think, character driven. And I like it. I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that. So let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the or to seeing your thoughts in the comments. I would love to discuss.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. I hope you made it to the end. And if you did, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been about a year, I think, since the last arc, since the last review, basically, that I recorded. So, here's JoJo again. You'll probably have to wait a couple of weeks for Golden Wind. I do have it in my roster of editing. I'm trying to catch up. So you will have to wait a few weeks. But I hope that you still found this review good. This was a bit of an interesting arc because of the setup, but it was still kind of fun to watch. I will say I watched the next arc much faster. I was extremely invested in Golden Wind, as I'm sure you will see in the next review. I have not listened to it in a while, so I could be wrong, but I remember being very invested and really liking it. So I hope you find that. I hope you are excited for that. And with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you're aware when I release videos. I'm trying to be more constant again. If you would like to see more of me, definitely check out my website. It's available in the description. You can subscribe to my blog where I release some creative writing as well as book reviews, though that hasn't been the case for a little bit, but I do release some creative writing. I'm currently releasing chapters of the first draft of the Duchesses of Lipsia series, which is right now for The Rightful Bride, but this is for a Cinderella reimagining. So if that interests you and you kind of want to see what my first drafts look like, definitely make sure to reach out to or go to my website. And you have I think 27 chapters up already. So you can absolutely rereading those. And if you are interested in supporting me, make sure to check out my books. I've linked my Ko-fi shop below. You can also find it in other major retailers, or you can hire me for beta reading services. My email is in the description. And with that in mind, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. And until then, consume stories. Bye!